The finale for the season 4 of The Handmaid's Tale just came out and the audience was quite surprised at how it ended because a few episodes prior we didn't feel like something like this was coming. Just so you know that there are major spoilers ahead in this video, so in case you haven't watched all 4 seasons, here's your warning. The show, Handmaid's Tale, is based on a book with the same name by Margaret Atwood. When I began watching The Handmaid's Tale in April 2017, I was really moved by the story, and how intense it was. I remember complaining about little things, but one episode of this show would make me a grateful person for the entire week. And when I found that there are parts of the worlds where things like these are actually happening literally terrified me. However, after the second season the show basically feels like it's losing its touch, and its only aim now is to push the story forward. The show is being told from the perspective of one Offred whose real name is June. But since women in this particular world are so belittled, and they are basically here just to raise children and nothing more, is the reason why handmaids have to change their name, which is an attempt to strip their identity. In Season 1, the show quite steadily introduces us to Gilead, which is a new America with rules from the Bible. Here, we get to know that the birth rate around the world is going down and terrorism is also increasing, because of which people's rights were taken from them one by one until they turned their world upside down and snatched away any existing freedom from them. Any woman of the middle class who are sinners in the government's eyes are either sent to the colonies, or if they are fertile, are posted to the houses of the government officials, also known as commanders. These women are called handmaids and are used and abused by the commanders and their wives until she births a child. The first season was well done. As Offred, played by Elizabeth Moss, takes us on this journey, where you actually see how petrified she is with every move that she makes since her new posting at Commander Fred Waterford's house. His wife Serena seems like a hateful woman, and her desperation to have a child can be seen. But in Season 2, our main character Offred, aka June, sort of gets a plot armor. In Season 1 we see how she is brutally beaten up for attempting to run away. While after Season 2, we see her do it again, and we know the punishment for this is losing a foot, but somehow June remains unharmed. Maybe because she was pregnant, but when we see harsher punishments being inflicted upon others, it feels like June is now just untouchable, and the struggling handmaid from whose perspective we see this show is long gone. In the first season we see her going with the flow like we were. She did exactly what most of us would do in a situation like that, which made us genuinely understand and root for her. Elizabeth Moss's acting is amazing, especially her facial expressions as Offred, but after the first season, it's less plot and more close-up shots of her face. After the first season, the audience expected to get more answers about how the lives of people so drastically changed, not just for people in Gilead, but all around the world. The story of the revolution is not properly shown, and even though the first season at times got boring, at least it felt like it is something to look forward to. But then the series just feels like it is some dark, meaningless scenes which could have been easily left to the audience's imagination rather than portraying them. When June manages to get many children and Martha's out of Gilead to Canada, it is indeed a very emotional scene when Luke is waiting for Hannah and she isn't on board, and neither is June. So even though Season 3 had plot holes, the last episode kinda gave us a good ending. However, this did make our expectations go higher, and we were eager to see what is going to happen to June, since she is now caught and has costed Gilead so much. But the consequences she has to face were not as dire as we expected. It is rare when a series comes out that makes us question our reality, and Handmaid's Tales used to be one of them, where we would constantly question if it was actually possible that this could happen to us. But the direction the show took really mocked its audience. And when a series like this that talks about sensitive topics like rape and torture, you have to be very careful with how far are you pushing your luck with the audience, because let's be honest here, audience these days are quite intelligent from all the series we watch, and when you keep delivering our main character from evil, we're all like, get out of here. This could have indeed been one of the best series there is, but the writers really went like, now let's give them what they want. In Season 4, we all want Fred and Serena to reap what they sowed. And even though the season could have been more interesting as well all hoped, it felt like Fred got killed too easily, and somehow Nick has special immunity to give June exactly what she wants, that is to kill Fred along with others in the exact way she wished. In Gilead, we have seen Commander Putnam losing his hand after committing adultery, and our Commander Nick and Lawrence don't even get a slap on the wrist. Especially Commander Lawrence, whose wife overdosed, and neither the Commander nor June were questioned for her death. And even after confession that he was involved with breaking women and children out of Gilead, he is somehow able to regain his position and negotiate with his former handmaid. Although I did like how they wrote "No light te bastards carborundum" on the wall with Fred's blood. Going to give it that. Also how she makes out with Nick in front of Fred was like a F you to Fred in a way, as he still thinks of her the good handmaid off Red. But I did want all the women to surround Fred like they did to that rapist in season 1 and killed him. But the fact that women in the woods were all from the support group makes it so much more interesting, since they were trying so hard to suppress their rage, but are finally able to let it out. I also like how they mail Serena Fred's finger after his death, which reminds us of the time when Fred could have saved Serena's torture, and yet he let Gilead cut her finger. However, I was quite interested to see Fred and Serena's time in Canada, and now that Serena is pregnant, everything has changed. Seeing the Waterfords in Canada makes you realize how selfish they really are, especially Fred, who does not give Serena any credit, but thanks God and himself in her place. And Serena, who thinks that this might be her second chance, does not do the right thing and stand up with June, but instead continues to support her husband. I would also like to bring in another handmaid, Janine, who was a friend of June. Janine goes through immense torture as Gilead takes her eye over nothing, and then she almost gets stoned to death until June stands up to Aunt Lydia. Janine is constantly beaten and punished while June talks back and acts stubborn and gets out unharmed. After a while you start relating to Janine more because we know that she is one of those characters without a plot armor. Even in season 4, while the other Marthas are pushed off the building for their involvement, the torture reserved for June seems quiet mid-level when it comes to Gilead laws, which stoop to even mutilating women. We also see parts of the episodes from June's memory when she remembers her life before Gilead when she was with her husband and daughter. These things give you a clear view of how things have drastically changed. I was waiting when they would show us what happened to the powerful people, the rich celebs, the influencers. I really want to know how these people were suppressed. We also see one episode on Aunt Lydia and her memory, and it shows us what she used to be like, but even though it felt genuine, I felt it could have been better. The most dragged episode was the one where June has to sit and pray on her knees in the hospital, until her shopping partner is in the hospital. It was like the showrunners were putting us through the same torture June felt. Also for me, one of the most touching moments from season 4 was the time when June finally confronts Serena for the first time out of Gilead. The way she doesn't give in this time, and scared the hell out of her former captivator, literally moved me. I really like this show and am down for a season 5, but I do hope the writers make the show more genuine than and less of fan fiction. This was my opinion of the show after watching its latest season, but do let me know in the comments what you think of season 4 of The Handmaid's Tale. Also feel free to make suggestions on what would you want me to review next. Thank you for watching this video. Do subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of these genuine reviews, and hit the notification bell.